Welcome back, everybody. In the last episode, we built Workstation 1 and added it to our private network. We were also able to successfully access the BridgeOps 1 internal portal running on Application 1. At this point, our environment is working, but there's still one important piece that's still missing. Right now, if the web service goes down in Application 1, we don't even have anything actively watching it. We may not even know there's an outage, but today we're going to change that. Today, we're going to add a server called Monitoring Server 1. So let's get started. Okay, guys, so we're adding a dedicated monitoring server right here. And so this monitoring server will continuously monitor application server one and give us visibility into the health of our web service. And so once everything is configured, we're going to intentionally stop Apache on application server one and watch what happens. And so instead of waiting for someone to tell us the application isn't working, we'll see how a monitoring system can detect the outage for us. Then we'll restore the service and watch the environment recover. So let's go ahead and get started with building monitoring server one. Okay, everyone. So I'm back in VirtualBox. So now we're going to build our monitoring server. So just like application server one, monitoring server one will run Ubuntu server, which keeps the virtual machine lightweight while giving us everything we need to run our monitoring platform. So what we're going to do, we're going to click new and we're going to name this virtual machine monitoring one. So the ISO image, we're going to just choose the same ISO image that we use for application one, the Ubuntu ISO. So then we're going to select skip unintended isolation. And monitoring server one doesn't need a large amount of resources for this lab. So we're actually we're gonna keep this here for the memory. CPU, we'll change that to 2. And then we're gonna check the enable EFI. And then for the hard disk, we're actually gonna keep that at 25. So it's already at 25 for me. If it's something else, you can just change it to 25. And I'm gonna hit finish. And before starting the server, we also need to connect it to our private enterprise network. So just like the other servers, we'll use NAT for the internet access and a host-only adapter for communication inside the lab. So we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to network. And we're gonna go to adapter 2, enable, and we're gonna do a host-only adapter and hit OK. Okay, so now our server is ready for installation. So we're gonna go ahead and get it powered up. And once Ubuntu is installed, we'll configure its host-only adapter with our next static address. The address is gonna be 192.168.56.30. So I'm gonna go ahead and start up this VM. Okay, so we've already gone through this process when we built application server one. So we'll move through the installation fairly quickly. So here, I'm just gonna hit enter for English. I'm gonna do done. I'm gonna hit done again, done, done. I'm gonna click done here, continue. And I'm gonna leave this all checked. I'm gonna go to done, done, continue. And here I'm gonna put my name and server name. You can pick a username. You can pick any username you like. And then we're gonna put a password. We're gonna go to done. We're gonna click continue here. And here we're gonna actually click install open SSH server. So we'll hit enter, so we check that box. And then we'll go to done. And then here we're gonna skip all of these. We're gonna click done. And now it's installing. So once it finishes installing, we'll come back and we'll move on to the next step. Next, we'll be configuring the host only network adapter and assign our monitoring server its static IP address of 192.168.56.30. And when you guys get to this screen, just make sure to choose reboot now, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, y'all. So now we'll connect monitoring server one to our private enterprise network. So just like application server one, monitoring server one has two network adapters. The NAT adapter handles internet access, while the host only adapter allows monitoring server to communicate with other systems in our lab. So let's assign monitoring server one its static address. So first we're going to log in. And then we're going to run ls net plan. Okay. So now do sudo and net plan. My configuration file starts with 20, so I'm gonna hit 20 and just hit tab, hit enter. It's asks for my password, so you can enter in your password. Okay, so here we'll leave the existing NAT adapter configured for DHCP and add our host only adapter with the static address of 192.168.56.30. So we're going to make some changes here. Make sure when you make these changes, make sure the spacing is exactly like you see here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So the first change I'm gonna make is I'm gonna delete this line. And then I'm gonna change this to false. Then I'm gonna get rid of this line right here. And I'm gonna add addresses. And then we're gonna type in our IP address, 192. And y'all will have the same IP address here. So that's 24. Okay. So now we're going to hit Control O, and then we'll hit Enter, and then we'll do Control X. Okay. And so now we'll apply the configuration and verify the address. So first thing you want to do is sudo netplan try. Then we'll hit enter, and then we'll do sudo netplan apply. Okay, so now we just want to verify the IP address. So we're going to do IP address, hit enter. And down there, you can see right here, 3, you can see our IP address 192.168.56.30. So that's what we wanted to see. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to make sure that our monitoring server can communicate with application 1 server. But before we do that, we need to open up VirtualBox again, and we want to turn these on so that we can actually communicate with the other server. So we're going to power this one up. And then I'm also going to power up Workstation 1. Well, actually, let's just stay with application server 1 for now. Um, and once that gets powered up, we'll come back to monitoring server 1 and try to ping this server. Okay, so I got application server 1 right here. It's running. And so I'm going to go back to our monitoring server 1. I'm going to ping that server just to make sure they can communicate. 2.168.56.10. And there you go. So monitoring server 1 is now connected to our enterprise network and can communicate with application server 1. So next, we're going to install the monitoring platform and begin monitoring our environment. And to stop this, you can just hit Control C. Okay, so I am in monitoring server 1. And now that it's connected to our network, it's time to install the monitoring platform. For this lab, we'll use Uptime Kuma, a lightweight monitoring tool that gives us a simple dashboard for tracking the availability of our systems and services. And so the first command we want to run is going to be sudo and update. And this is just to update the package list. So we're going to enter our password. All right, and now we want to install Docker. So sudo install docker.io. All right, so just give that a moment. Okay, now that that is done, we're going to enable and start Docker. So we're going to run sudo systemctl enable now Docker. All right. So Uptime Kuma will run inside a Docker container. And so this is going to keep the installation simple and allows us to get our monitoring server running with just a few commands. So next, we're going to run this command. So and just bear with me because it is kind of long. So feel free to pause it right here if need be. But after we finish typing this, we're just going to hit enter. And it'll take a minute to download. Once it finishes, we'll come back to it and we'll continue on. Okay, so it finished downloading. So now I want to verify the container is running. So sudo docker ps. All right, and see down here to the right, you see Uptime Kuma. So it is running. So it's going to be using port 3001. And so what we're going to do, we're going to switch to our workstation one and open Microsoft Edge, and we're going to browse to 192.168.56.30 with the port 3001. And we should see the Uptime Kuma setup page. Okay, guys, so I'm in my workstation one server. I do recommend having all your servers running so they can communicate with each other. I have all three running at the moment. Um, but we'll go ahead and log into our workstation one. Okay, so now we're going to open up Microsoft Edge. And we're going to go to the address. 192.168.56.30, port 3001. And there it is. So our monitoring platform is officially online. And so what you want to do is you just want to create a username and password. So I'm just going to use admin. Log in. All right, there we go. And when we come back, we'll add application one server two as a new monitor, and we'll begin monitoring the web service running on our application server. Okay, guys, so now let's go ahead and add our first new monitor. So we'll configure monitoring service one to check the web service running on application server one. So let's go and click here to add new monitor. We'll leave this right here as HTTPS. As a friendly name, we're going to do app web service. URL, we're going to delete that right here. So it's just HTTP. And then we're going to put 192.168.56.10. Okay. And so we'll leave the heartbeat at 60 seconds. So all this means is that it's going to send a request to application server one every 60 seconds and verify that the web service responds. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And we'll wait 60 seconds. And what should happen is to check, and it should show right here that application one is up. Okay, guys, so 60 seconds went by, and you can see that it sent a request and verified that the web service is still up. So our first monitor is now active. So monitoring server one can now automatically check the availability of the application running on application server one without us manually testing it. So before we simulate an outage, let's just confirm what the environment looks like while everything is healthy. So let's go and open up another tab, and we're gonna type in this address right here. There we go. And we see that the internal portal is still up. And so everything seems to be working normally. Workstation one can access the application, and monitoring server one reports that the web server is available. So now what we're going to do is we're going to see what happens when the service suddenly goes down. Okay, everybody, so we're going to simulate a real service outage. What we're going to do is we're going to stop Apache on application server one and see whether our monitoring server detects the failure. So first we want to go ahead and log in. Okay, so the command we're going to run is sudo systemctl Stop Apache 2. So we're going to enter in our password. Okay. And so now we just want to verify that it's actually down or inactive. CTL status. Okay. So we see right here it says active, it says inactive. And so what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to our Workstation 1. So from a user's perspective, the application should no longer be available. So let's go ahead and switch over to our Workstation 1. Okay, so if we refresh this, we see we can no longer reach it. And you see we got a notification that it is down. So monitoring server 1 has automatically detected that the web servers on application 1 is unavailable. And so this is the basic idea behind enterprise monitoring. So instead of waiting for users to report an outage, operations teams can identify service failures as they're happening and begin troubleshooting. So let's go ahead and give this a moment. Let it reach out to the application server 1 again, just one more time. And you guys see it right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to application server 1 and we're going to restore the service. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. To restore the service, we're just going to run sudo systemctl start Apache 2. And we're going to do sudo systemctl status Apache 2. And there you see that it is now active. So we're going to go back to our Workstation 1 and verify that it's up. And there you go. So it shows it's up. Let's just verify that our portal is up. Okay, so now we can reach our portal again. And so now we're back online. So monitoring server 1 detected the outage, it detected the recovery, and gave us a visibility into the health of our application throughout the entire event. So that's what we wanted to see. And with that, our monitoring environment is officially up and running. And so today we added monitoring server 1 to our enterprise lab, installed Uptime Kuma, and configured it to monitor the web service running on application server 1. And more importantly, we saw what happens during an actual service outage. So when Apache went down, Workstation 1 lost access to the application, and monitoring server 1 detected the failure. And so once we restored Apache, monitoring detected the recovery and the application became available again. So we now have 3 systems working together, each serving a different purpose inside our enterprise environment. And so now that our monitoring is in place, we can start creating more realistic incidents where something breaks and we have to use the tools we built to figure out what happened. In the next episode, we'll be installing Splunk on Workstation 1. But till then, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.